Are all you on the newsletter for Charles and Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you do hear about their activities and their programs, and it's just exciting that we're able to, we're blessed to be able to help them do the work that they're doing. So I'm really excited about tonight, and I'd like to welcome Charles and Melissa to our church today to share their story.
Can y'all hear me better now?
Yes.
One of the joys during worship is hearing the beautiful voices of the different choirs. When we first arrived in Windazzi, long before we had any knowledge of the local language spoken there, at times we'd be in worship, just listening to these voices, we'd start having tears welling up in our eyes, just listening, and we had no idea what they were saying. The choir you just heard is the Bethlehem Station Choir. It's one of 5 choirs in our church in Windazzi. On a short Sunday, worship lasts about 2.5 hours. On a longer day, it might go on a little longer than that. But believe it or not, and the first hour is music, because you've got 5 choirs. But believe it or not, it goes faster than you might think. As we get into our presentation, you'll see some still photos, some video clips, some interviews with the leaders at our partner church. And as we were preparing it, we told them that they would be appearing in our presentation, and one of them expressed their joy that they'd be getting on the plane and coming to America. They're happy to be here too. Let's have a quick lesson in Chitambuka, the language that's spoken in the part of Zambia where we live and work. Zani Nasi means come with us. So if you can repeat that. One more time. Okay, I believe you've got it. Now come with us as we share about our partner church and our work together in Zambia.
2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other. But woe to the one who is alone and falls, and doesn't have another to help. When we began to plan for our interpretation assignment, our return back to the U.S., we chose to focus on partnership. Our next step was to find a verse that we felt exemplified partnership, and we chose the one that you just heard from Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. In early 2018, there was a cholera outbreak that hit parts of Zambia. To combat the spread of that disease, there is an emphasis on sanitation and in particular hand washing. So Charles and his students at the Chisaiku Theological College built this tippy-tap hand washing station that you see in this photo. We think that this photo exemplifies partnership, with the girl washing her hands and the boy pressing down on that stick on the ground to pour the water from the jug for her.
Manini Mosi, that means greetings, everyone. Thanks again for inviting us to be with you tonight to share about our work in Zambia. We look forward to telling you about the work with our partner church, the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian Synod of Zambia, my work in sustainable agriculture, and Melissa's work with the CCAP Health Department. Along the way, we'll talk about your role in this partnership and the far-reaching impact the work is having, not only in Zambia, but here as well. We'll be glad to take questions when we finish, so if you can hold them until then, we would appreciate it. One day, in the late afternoon, during our first year in Zambia, I was driving along a bumpy, dusty road between Chisaiku and Egechikeni, being careful to watch for people walking alongside. My drive was a regular occurrence after a day of teaching agriculture courses at Chisaiku Theological College. There's no electricity in Chisaiku, so in order to use a projector in my class, I connect an extension cord to the power inverter on our Land Cruiser, run it through the classroom window, and connect it to the projector. At the end of the day, I need to go for a drive to recharge the Land Cruiser's battery so I'm ready for the next day. As I drove, I listened to Can't Shake the Sands of Texas from my shoes by Riders in the Sky, and I marveled at how a kid from deep South Texas ended up serving as a mission co-worker in Zambia. And as I drove, something else occurred to me. Our new home in Zambia looks a lot like South Texas. I thought about my day and my students from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. I also thought about our work together in the field where I was learning from them about farming in their home villages. This was my first time to plow with oxen and experience the method of planting used by Zambian smallholder farmers. I was learning as much from them as they were from me. As I continued, I thought about the many things we have in common, our hopes and dreams, our ability to laugh and find joy in even the simplest tasks, and the ways we're connected through Christ despite speaking different languages and coming from different cultures. I also thought about our common desire to make the world a better place for everyone, not just ourselves.
I walk to work quite frequently. It's not really very far from our house to the CCAP church grounds where the health department is located. When we first arrived, I only knew one way from home to church, and that was along the smooth tarmac road through town that's very busy with lots of people on bicycles, women walking wearing their brightly colored fabrics with their babies on their backs and things on their heads to sell in the market. As I began working with Mr. Lima, the health department coordinator, we began to attend a lot of different stakeholder meetings around town, and he began to show me the shortcuts. Some of these shortcuts are not on that smooth tarmac road, but through neighborhoods or compounds as they're known there. And those roads are dirt roads that are frequently full of ruts and potholes from where the rain has washed the sandy soil toward the river. As I learned these shortcuts, I take them now myself when I walk. I've come to love the rustic beauty of these dirt roads, the small houses, the tall grass, the purple jacaranda trees, and these bright red flamboyant trees. As I walk, I hear my name called, and people wave and greet me, especially the kids. We are known, we are welcomed, we are loved, and we've become a part of this community. As the verse from Ecclesiastes tells us, we are better together, and we are definitely not alone in Zambia.
As I look back on that evening drive, I see the beginning of a mission partnership on a personal level with my new students, friends, and co-workers. I see a unity that's beyond explanation, a unity formed by our faith, and how we're really not very different from one another. I've experienced a number of challenges in my work, which, to be honest, have been discouraging at times. Even so, I can still remember driving down that bumpy, dusty road and being overwhelmed by the realization that God had led us from South Texas to live and serve in Zambia. Since then, the partnership has grown, deepened, and friendships made. We are home.
As Charles and I have traveled this journey in Zambia on both the bumpy and the smooth roads, we've learned so much. We've learned about the damage to culture and communities in the past through colonialism and sometimes even mission. In some ways, that damage is still continuing through NGOs and other aid agencies that come to Zambia intending to do good, but on their terms. As I was walking with Mr. Lima one day, he was telling me about his childhood in the village. He told me that his village had been very large, with maybe as many as 200 houses, and that he might go a week or more without seeing his father because everyone just took care of each other. He said that now people live in very small villages of just a few houses. So I asked him what had changed, and he looked at me and he said, "You did." Now I know he wasn't talking about me personally, but he was talking about people who have come to Zambia and told the Zambians that they should only live with their nuclear families. But despite that history, the people in Zambia are still inviting us to walk alongside them and join them in their vision for themselves and their communities, to teach us and to learn from us.
In 2017, the Presbyterian World Mission celebrated 180 years of international mission service. Although the desire to serve has never changed, the approach from the colonial model of mission has shifted gradually to a model of partnership based on invitation, mutual respect, and interdependence. In that experience of both discovering and sharing, Presbyterians have learned to participate more fully in God's mission. We find ourselves struggling sometimes to ensure we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. It's not always easy. Thankfully, our Zambian friends are full of love and grace and forgive our mistakes. We will always be learning. And we pray in another 182 years, when people look back at our work, they'll see the successes of our partnership in Zambia.
Calling us to mission several years ago, and that call ultimately led to our invitation to serve with a partnership that began with the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian Synod of Zambia, or CCAP, and PCUSA. In our case, that partnership began with that relationship that existed between PCUSA and CCAP. But since Charles and I have been living and serving in Zambia for almost 4 years now, we've realized that there's much more to this partnership than just those two denominations.
In the U.S., every PCUSA congregation is also a partner, and that partnership even extends down to the individuals like you who make up these congregations. Each one of you is essential to this partnership. We believe it's important that you hear from Reverend Chizason Chunda, moderator of CCAP Zambia, about the partnership between PCUSA and CCAP. I'd like to add Reverend Chunda is a graduate of Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary up the road.
PCUSA has been a big partner for CCAP Synod of Zambia. We have programs through our strategic plan. Every 5 years, the CCAP Synod of Zambia has a strategic plan where we plan what are we going to do in these years. And we share these programs with our partners. We don't force them to do the program, but they are there to work with us. Most of the programs are credited to Presbyterian Church of the USA. We can mention a few. The clinics that we have. We can also think of the Synod office. We can talk of the community schools. We talk of Chasef Theological College and the programs that are there. We say Presbyterian Church of the USA has contributed. I want to say thank you very much to PCUSA. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you very much for sending Charles and Melissa. And we thank God for the work that is being done in Zambia. we know God is going to reward you.
Throughout the process of preparing for our interpretation assignment, from the selecting of the theme of partnership, to the selection of the verse in Ecclesiastes, to the interviews that we did with our partners, it was obvious to us that God was leading us in those preparations. Charles and I were both led to this verse in Ecclesiastes without even discussing it with the other one first. Since the very inception of the CCHP Synod of Zambia in 1984, they have believed in a holistic ministry and recognized the call set out in Matthew 25 to serve the entire person and not just the spirit. In the next video, you'll hear from Reverend Savat Kabai, who is the CCAP General Secretary, Reverend Lazarus Chilenji, the acting principal for the Chisega Theological College, and Reverend Chunda, again the moderator, about the holistic ministry of CCAP.
In planting the new churches in Pika, PCUSA have funded us and helped us to go and preach the gospel. So it is being done according to the vision of CCF Synod of Zambia, being holistic in every aspect: evangelism, health, education, agriculture, just to mention but a few. Mission is mission day. Mission belongs to God. And so we are the conduits here on earth that we should be able to see that this great commission that we should take the gospel to every creature can only be made possible when we engage our resources. God demands that we should look at a human being at two levels. A human being is not only a physical being, but is also a spiritual being. Because the Great Commission, as it is also indicated in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus primarily leaves 6 core things as the basis for judgment. And none of the 6 is related to the spiritual aspect. And so because Jesus is talking about the physical needs, the shelter, the food, the clothes, then it is important that the PCUSA should continue into this partnership, because together then we can take the Great Commission of our Lord Jesus Christ even far much better. The mission is to reach to the whole world so that they should know the word of God. And when we say the word of God, we are all talking of spiritual, physical, psychological, and all the areas of life. And so I would encourage the PCUSA that which they are already doing, they should continue doing, because they are making a very big contribution in terms of advancing the Great Commission here on earth.
Recently, PCUSA has begun an initiative to focus on Matthew 25. Isn't it wonderful to see the parallels between what you just heard from our partners as they spoke of the influence of Matthew 25 on the holistic ministry of CCAP and this initiative from PCUSA?
The first interview that we did was with Reverend Kawai, and as he began speaking about the holistic ministry and the influence of Matthew 25 on their church, I really became overwhelmed with emotion and felt like it was such a God moment. And I asked him, did you know about the PCUSA Matthew 25 initiative? And he didn't. This repeated itself with both of the other interviews with Reverend Chunda and Reverend Chilenji. During our interpretation assignment in 2017, we shared about the holistic ministry of CCAP. Since then, your response has been overwhelming. So many of you have donated to our financial support so we can be in Zambia and serve in Zambia. And an untold number of you pray for us, you email us, you write to us, and you show us your support and love in a variety of other ways. After hearing the stories of the needs of our partner church and the communities in Zambia, many of you have felt called to engage in a deeper relationship with CCAP to help meet those needs. During our visits and in our newsletters, we have asked for your prayers for the success of these priorities. And many of you have felt God's call and responded with your support. Let us show you a few of the ways that these prayers have been answered.
Story of a woman in Ejikeni who lives about 40 kilometers from the facility. And during her antenatal care, she only came once in 9 months. She only came the first time that she came for booking at 5 months. That's the only time she came. And recently when the CCAP handed over the mother shelter for the facility, she was so happy that her friends in that area could have better access to the services that were there. She actually delivered from the facility recently, and she waited for the delivery right in the new mother shelter. For me, that is a good story. It means that people who are very far off can access now the services, the good services, just like the people who are very near to the facility because of that mother shelter that is in place. And so that impact that mother shelter has brought through that one life that I've seen, I think it will replicate more and more. She'll tell that story to many others in our environment, and they'll be able to access the service. For us, that's what we want, and that's the mission of the Ministry of Health in Zambia.
We've been able to not only roof the building, plaster the building, floor the building, make the drainage, as well as digging 3 VIP toilets. In that regard, Showgrant has been able to make the project move from 45% to now 93%, with only 7% before its final deliverable.
PCUSA has helped us with funds to build the storage facility, and that storage facility will not only benefit the Chasek Theological College, even the community will be able to benefit from them.
Tonga Chomani means thank you very much.
Many of the prayer requests for infrastructure improvements in the communities of Ekachikini, Daiwala, and Chiseifu have been met. While many prayers have been answered, there are still many more that need your prayers. Funds have been given for a solar pump at the Ekachikini Clinic, but we are continuing to pray for the remaining funds to be provided so we can complete that project. The construction of the new Rural Health Center in Palazza is underway. This photo I received today, so this is the current status of that clinic. A borehole has also been drilled, and soon this community will no longer need to walk the 20 kilometers that they have been walking or are walking to receive health care. We are extremely grateful for the very generous donations that have been made by congregations and individuals, and for Lexington Presbyterian Church in Lexington, Virginia, who has been leading this fundraising effort. We hope that you will continue to pray that the remaining funds for this project will be provided. We are about halfway to where we need to be to finish this clinic. All of these funds for the health department projects have not been provided by grants, but through generous congregations and individuals. Health education is a huge need in Zambia. And thanks to generous giving of congregations like yours, we've received a grant from the Presbyterian World Mission Extra Commitment Offerings for the health department program in malaria education to help reduce and hopefully eliminate at some point the burden of this very preventable disease in Zambia. We've also received a grant from the Peace USA Healthy Women, Healthy Families program for funds for a Days for Girls enterprise to begin in Lugazi. This program provides these free, washable, reusable feminine hygiene kits to schoolgirls. I'm going to pass this around. Please feel free to take things out, look at them, and if you have questions, you can ask. This program provides these free, washable, reusable feminine hygiene kits to schoolgirls, but we also teach them about feminine hygiene and reproductive health, with the goal of the program to be able to keep girls in school, reduce early pregnancies, reduce early marriages, and all of those things will help reduce poverty in their communities. Several congregations have sown and donated funds, as well as supporting this enterprise in a variety of other ways. The program has been teaching women about these issues during Umanyano gatherings, which is the Zambian version of PW. We are selling the washable, reusable feminine hygiene kits to women as a way to generate income for the program, which we hope will soon become self-sustaining. But until it is, the women have learned how to sew other items with share selling as income generation, and these are skills that they will have for the rest of their lives. We'd like to introduce you to two women from our home church in Northwood, Patty Clark and Martha Sherrod, who visited Zambia in April of this year.
I first became involved with Days for Girls in 2010. I was on a mission trip with my church in the Amazon in Peru. Walking through the village one day, we looked at each other and said, what on earth do these girls do when they have their periods? When we got back, my friend Melissa did some research and came upon Days for Girls. I've always been very interested in empowering women and girls in their lives, and I found that Days for Girls is one organization that does that. They help girls stay in school, they help girls stay working, instead of having to stay home when they have their periods. And so that's one of the things that I think is one thing that we can do best to help developing countries achieve their potential.
My inspiration to become involved with the program, I think, stems from the fact that the Days for Girls program empowers young women and girls. And that is a passion of mine. I'm a teacher and I can see what empowering girls can do. It can help them stay in school and it can give them self-confidence.
I've been sewing kits for several years with the Days for Girls team out of San Antonio, Texas. I've sewn the shields and the liners and the bags, along with several other women from my church. More exciting, though, is the distribution that I've done in Zambia. We went to a school just very recently in Hoya and distributed 70 some odd kits to girls there in Hoya. Listening to the girls ask their questions and listening to the Zambian ladies teach the Days for Girls curriculum was so exciting. We have a Days for Girls enterprise here in Zambia that is connected with the CCAP Health Department. We partner with them to do the distributions to create kits. They're actually sewing kits here in Zambia. My hope for the enterprise in Zambia is that it becomes self-sustaining, that the women who have been trained in the Days for Girls enterprise here in Zambia are able to make it into something that sustains itself, that provides an income for the ladies that are working with the enterprise here, and that they no longer need us to help them.
There are a variety of women in my church that are involved and can be involved. Older women that sew, younger working women who can spend maybe a couple of hours on Saturdays. So it's given the women of my church a focus and a purpose. Over here in Zambia, I have seen the women who are directing the enterprise become empowered, become self-confident, and learn new skills. And I've seen them teach the girls, and I've seen, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. I've seen the girls learn, I've seen them listen to the teachers, and I've seen them receive their kits. So the benefits are worldwide, no matter where the kits are or where the program is.
The health department has also been blessed to be a recipient of the Presbyterian Women Thank Offering Grant this year. Does this church do PW? Presbyterian Women? No. Too bad, you could have been involved in this program. Rethink that decision. The Thank Offering Grant has allowed us to begin a program of cervical cancer screening, treatment, and education. Zambia is ranked second in the world for cervical cancer. Not a list that you want to find yourself at the top of. Cervical cancer is a very treatable disease if caught early, so we are working with the Zambian Ministry of Health to educate and encourage women to go for screening. When we first began this program, only one of those 4 women that I worked with had actually gone for screening. They feared to go because of false information and myths. But now they've all 4 gone for screening, they're all 4 fine, and now they realize that those fears were completely unfounded, and they will be able to help other women alleviate their fears and possibly help save their lives as well. Through the grants that we've received for malaria education and cervical cancer, 48 bicycles have been able to be given to community health workers in the clinics where the church works. The community health workers are the ones who go out into the community and provide the health education. We've also received financial support from a couple of congregations and individuals for transportation, for monitoring and evaluation of health department projects, as well as agriculture-related work at Chisefu. But despite these gifts, transportation is an ongoing challenge, and your continued prayers would be appreciated.
Since arriving in Mundazi, we've used our personal vehicle in both Melissa's and my work. Zambian roads are taking a big toll on our Land Cruiser. Although we do receive a modest reimbursement for fuel from time to time, thanks to the support Melissa just mentioned, the majority of fuel, maintenance, and repairs, such as those shown in these photos, come out of our own pocket.
A new prayer request and priority for the Synod is a Health Education Resource Center. The Synod hopes that this education center will not only provide much-needed health education to communities, but be a source of income for the health department so it can become self-sustaining, possibly through rental of the conference room, pharmacy, or guest house. So please keep the department and the Synod in your prayers as they continue to plan for this very important new development.
One doesn't have to be in Zambia very long to understand the importance of agriculture in the lives of everyone. Driving along country roads, it's typical to see men, women, and children working in their fields to raise food crops for their family's food security in the coming year. At Chisefu Theological College, agriculture also plays a prominent role, with courses in agricultural science being taught alongside the theology courses. In addition, 2 farming programs are underway in conjunction with the seminary. One of these programs, Chisefu Model Farm, which is supervised by Reverend Powell Timbo, has 2 main missions. The first is to raise food for the seminary students, while the second is to eventually develop the model farm into a training center for Zambian smallholder farmers. Although the model farm has been successful with regard to providing food for the students, the development of the training center is still a dream due to a lack of infrastructure and resources. Even so, the model farm's farming operations have benefited from donor support since its inception, primarily from First Presbyterian Church of Sullivan, Indiana. The mission of the Chesapeake Agricultural Income Generating Activity, or AIGA, is to generate income through farming to provide support for the seminary. Reverend Eliud Mentali, Chesapeake AIGA coordinator, and I have found achieving this mission to be very challenging for several reasons. First and foremost, due to a lack of mechanization, we're attempting to engage in commercial farming using subsistence farming methods like you saw earlier in the presentation, plowing with oxen, planting the traditional way. Dependence on local labor for piecework has also proven to be difficult since they're all farmers as well, and their work coincides with our needs. In addition, there's a great lack of consistency in the quality of the work from the many laborers, making our results are inconsistent as well. Our prayer request is to raise funds to purchase a 75 horsepower tractor similar to the one shown here, along with a 4-row ripper, a 4-row planter, a boom sprayer, an offset disc, and a 4-wheel trailer. Down where I grew up, south of San Antonio, if something wasn't happening today, we would say, Manana. In Zambia, we say Dazi Limosa, one day. Despite these challenges, we've worked hard to mitigate them. Thanks to funds budgeted in the Richard Shaw Grant awarded to Chesapeake Theological College by Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church, we've been able to purchase some equipment to facilitate our work. An ox-drawn cart, 2 back-saver planters, hand planters, some knapsack sprayers like you see in this photo, and a fertilizer applicator. Although this equipment still requires manual labor, it has improved the quality and consistency in planting and fertilizer application, and is an intermediate step until we're able to require a tractor and the implements that we discussed a moment ago. A lack of secure storage for equipment, farming inputs, and harvested crops has also been a challenge, but thanks to gifts from a number of churches and individuals, including this congregation, a new storage facility is being built in Chesapeake. When completed, it will not only provide space to meet these needs, but also generate income for the AIGA by providing crop storage for others for a reasonable fee. It's hoped that AIGA will become self-sufficient and sustainable in the near future. It's accurate to say our partnership in Zambia is between Peace USA and CCAP Zambia. But we never fail to remind our Zambian friends that we live and work with that behind the PCUSA denomination there are many congregations and individuals, again like this one, who have heard the call to serve by supporting our work there. For example, you've seen how our home church in San Antonio has played an important role in the Days for Girls Zambia program. There are other churches that are supporting that program in the same way. You are important partners in God's mission in Zambia. Many churches and individuals have pledged support, financial support, not only for us to be there, but for these projects that we've been discussing. In addition, many of you pray for us, email us, send us snail mail, and show your love and support in other ways. About a week before we left Zambia to come home in early June, we went to the post office in Lindazi one day, and it was full of Christmas cards. Now, they took a little bit longer to get there than the senders thought, but I promise you we were just as excited and happy when we opened them in June as we would have been back in June. In this photo are the saints of First Presbyterian Church of Alice, Texas. They recently made a donation to support the construction of the storage shed there in Chesapeake. This church will close its doors on November 24, 2019. In responding to my email thanking the church for its donation, Pastor Chris Bear wrote, "Because we will be unable to support your work in the future, our session wanted to ensure that we could support you in a big way this year. Please keep this congregation in prayer as we work out God's will in the final days of our life together. And God bless you and Melissa for loving our neighbors there in Chisaphu and helping them to live better lives, both physically and spiritually. I've read that whenever folks would ask Mother Teresa about her work in Calcutta, she would simply reply, "Come and see." We're going to extend that invitation to you guys too to come and see. But we understand many of you can't travel around the globe to visit Zambia. But please know you will be welcomed and loved by our Zambian friends if you do. And relationships and friendships will be built that will last the rest of your life.
When our friends Martha and Patty visited this year, one of the most impactful things that they experienced was a visit to Mr. Walima's village, where we shared a meal in Shima, which is the staple food in Zambia, which is the best way I can describe it is like corn Play-Doh, some chicken and vegetables. And we all learned how to shell maize with the women. Sharing a meal, as all good Presbyterians know, and as we did tonight, is the perfect way to build friendships and begin relationships. So even if you can't visit us in Zambia, please walk with us, continue walking with us on this journey through our newsletters and our social media posts. You'll find prayer cards and other information back in the back on that table and a sign-up sheet, so if you're not getting our newsletter, please sign up so you can. When you leave here tonight, we hope that you will feel called to become even more engaged in this partnership. That engagement can be in the form of prayers or financial support of Charles and I, or the projects of our partner, because after all, we are better together. Chiwembe Pamosa.